Have you ever found yourself feeling out of place and realizing that maybe you're starting to sweat some things that in life shouldn't necessarily be things that you sweat? Maybe you're a little bit short with others. Maybe this mask that you're wearing, and no, not the COVID mask, the mask that you've been wearing for a long time. Maybe it is you not showing up as your authentic self. Maybe that's weighing on you. Perhaps it's providing you more anxiety, maybe weight gain, maybe even like me, adult acne, insomnia, or it's affecting your relationships and the views of the world. You see, we have the power within us to change our lives. And we do if we look deep down inside. On today's episode of Thrive Forward, we welcome Coach Dawn Johnson. Dawn and I talk about the special sauce to create a bright light where you are living authentically yourself and getting through the messy parts without sacrificing joy, and how stepping into your authentic self empowers your relationships with others, your view of the world, and most importantly, your view of yourself. So I encourage you to be open-minded and listen to the incredible woman that Dawn is, the story that she shares that is personal to her experience, and think about how you too have had experiences of trying to mask who you are and how you will now commit to stepping into the light and your absolute greatness because you are so worthy. Dawn, your energy is so contagious. Thank you for joining today on the Thrive Forward podcast. We had to press record, you guys, because we were already talking and we were already having good nuggets of knowledge. So we'll try to recreate that for you in this space today. But thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, my pleasure. And again, thrive. That's one of my power words for 2021, to thrive. So great, thrive, move forward. All of those things are, energy creating words. And so of course, we believe in this energy thing. Money is energy. All things are energy. We are energy. We're spirit beings that just happen to be born with these shells that we walk around in. Otherwise, we're just kind of floating around. So, and I kind of float around anyway, even. So, but yeah, that's.
Well, I think you take up great space, not just float around.
Yeah,
I think you provide great energy and great space to be able to take up as much as you want to, because you provide great energy.
Well, that's that whole thing, is when you decide that you're going to be unapologetically dope in this world, because you have amazing gifts that people need to know about and need to be exposed to. And when you figure out what that connection is to self, how good that feels, you can't help but want to leap out of your skin and share that, with everyone you come in contact with.
And that has got to be a journey, right? So let's share with everyone kind of how you got to the loving space of helping other people find that. But obviously it was a journey for yourself. So how did you get to that space? And I'd love for you to share specifically too, as a woman of color, how you got to that space and what obstacles you found specific to your journey in that space as well.
Well, I definitely want to start with my journey of corporate America. That helped define me, break me at times. And I persevered through my 22 and a half year career in corporate America. And not until I was actually fired from a corporate job that I put my blood, sweat, and tears in for 22 and a half years, they let me go. Without a severance, without a goodbye, without a plaque, without a watch, with nothing. They had gotten to the point where I was no longer useful. For many Black women and women of color, we are too of something, too strong, too aggressive, too smart, and when we talk about taking up too much space, too loud, just too of something, which are usually negative labels. And so no matter how brilliant, how hardworking I was, it didn't matter. There was nothing that I could do Even in early in my career, most Black women and women of color are told to, straighten your hair and show up, so I have my little button down and straighten my hair and all of these things to assimilate, to, transform, to be like everyone else. And that was not soothing to my soul.
I can
And
imagine.
that point where, I mean, damned if I do, damned if I don't, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I am going to try rolling within my authentic self. And at least that helped me in my day to day, continue to be successful, continue to be me and do me. However, I wasn't happy. I knew that the gifts that I had were being wasted in that space. So being fired from my job was actually the biggest blessing ever, because it propelled me into really, first of all, healing from that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely trauma, being the only Black woman in the majority of white spaces in corporate America. And, doing that over 20 some odd years, there's definitely damage to my self-esteem, damage to me not feeling smart, because I wasn't looked at as a person who added value in those spaces. So being able to come out of that and going into self to figure out, well, what's going on with me, on top of fighting the organization. And I took them to court for wrongful termination. So that empowered me as well. That, and it's a great story to tell other women. Don't take it laying down.
Mm.
You were wronged in any way. I don't like the word fight, but I will say be your own advocate.
Yeah.
Okay. Know your worth.
Mm.
And so knowing your worth, helped me to like dig into myself. And I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm responsible for. This is not all corporate America's fault.
Right.
It's been a lot of my own choices, in this journey to get me to do my own work. And through my own work, it's just allowed me to get to this beautiful space where all I want to do is guide other women to this same space, because we all have it. We all have this dope light, but the world, everything outside of us, kids, husbands, spouses, stuff, it's just kind of gotten in the way of that. It's kind of moved us away from who we are authentically, wired to be.
Well, and I think too, like we are afraid to be ourselves sometimes too, right? I think one thing that I've really struggled with in my journey, experiencing things and working in a male-dominated space, I actually had, I had the flip side of it. I was a white woman, the easiest diverse recruit. And so much of my career, I benefited from the fact of being a white woman in a male-dominated space. Did I have difficult experiences? Were there inappropriate conversations I had to call people out on? Did someone in my career once tell me that I slept my way to the top?
Absolutely.
But yes. I also benefited from the aspect of being a white woman and being the easiest diverse recruit to hire. And you said those words of, two, with two O's, in case anybody was wondering.
Right. Yes.
That was something that I actually, because I'm loud and obnoxious and say my opinion and all of those things, but I'm white. And so people would listen. And so then I was benefited from. I mean, was I hushed occasionally as a younger woman in leadership too? Yeah, absolutely. But nothing in comparison. And I think that's what we have to kind of separate from too, right? That white feminism not allowing the true story of Black women to be told in corporate America. So I just wanted to kind of let's lay that playing field very.
I appreciate that so much, Shannon, and in the work that we do to bring Black and white women together. It's like we need our white sisters. We need you guys to amplify our voices. just to be able to say that out loud, knowing that you had a level of privilege that you and I could walk in and say the exact same thing at an emotional heightened level to kind of explain being wrong, and I would be looked at, oh, calm down, Dawn. Dawn. Oh. And you'd be like, okay, Shannon, all right, let's, you may get a lean in and I get a, I'm afraid, or I feel intimidated by you. And, oh, your voice is, it's louder and I feel threatened. And it's like, no, I'm really just explaining, how I'm feeling.
You could have a loud voice and be complimenting somebody.
Yes, exactly. But that is not, unfortunately, how it comes off for most of Black and brown women. Okay, clearly there are exceptions to every rule. Got it. But I can run into any number of Black women and we would all share similar stories all over the country, all over the world. We all have the same story, Janet.
And I think that a lot of where my experiences come from is doing my self-work and understanding and being aware of who I am and the mistakes that I make, but also knowing and listening and observing and sitting in rooms.
Okay, so my question is, have you always been that way?
Yeah.
What kind of thing? Because again, it's because I think at the end of the day, when Black women and white women figure our ish out,
right, the world will be unstoppable. The world will
just literally split, boom, And so, because it just warms my heart, to hear that. I mean, you are so much aware of self that you can see crystal clear what the injustices are. And so, not to make you special.
I'm not. Because
what is that?
Part of how my parents raised me, and I have two generations strong of white folks who advocate for people of color. My grandfather was a young Jewish man who worked in radio in Harlem. And so he was somebody that, of course, as a Jewish person, experienced something else growing up in that space too. I mean, he's had the FBI sit outside his house because he's, a communist. Because he was a communist because he played Black music on the radio. Yeah, sure. But he looked inside the souls of people. And that's what my grandfather always told me. I mean, he was not good at music. Like he'd be first to tell you, I'm not good at singing. I'm not good at dancing. I can't play an instrument, but I have a love of music and a love of people. And I can see inside people's souls. And he was, I get emotional talking about him, but he's the one that taught me literally everything that I know. If you would have asked me when I was 15, 17, 19 years old, I probably would have had some level of awareness and was always seeking, as you and I kind of talked before we started pressing record, I was always seeking to be more aware, but I messed up a lot in those experiences of being aware. And there were experiences even in college that I had that now reflecting back on it. And I'm like, whoa, was that a space of privilege that I experienced, that I was, and really realizing it and processing it in ways that I had never done before. And so I think, but we have to be able to look back on that, and not in a shameful way, but allow it to be a space for us to move forward in conversation and understanding, because we got some ish to work out. And you said it.
There is, but shaming people isn't love.
Yes.
Okay. And the only way to really change is heart-centered change.
Mm-hmm.
We can change our minds every 5 seconds, right? But when you make true change in the heart, because that's where authenticity is all in here, right?
Yeah.
Make those changes, that's the lasting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sauce. That's the sweet spot. When you can show up and lead with love with your heart. So yes, when you see people's souls, it's just get past this. And it's really historically a huge hurdle, a ginormous hurdle that, we keep thinking that in my lifetime that there will be such a thing. And we're not asking for, nobody wants a colorblind society. Nope. We want you to see my dope, beautiful brown skin.
Absolutely.
My people, and more importantly, the beautiful value that I add to the space, just like you do. So whether my voice is heightened, or I'm coming in a little aggressive, or if my face starts to go, doesn't matter.
My eyebrow raises a little bit.
Or if there's a side eye, be like, oh, okay, Dawn, wait, what's the side eye? What did, and then let's talk about it. Instead of you being offended and in your feelings, when it's like, wait a minute, I was the one that was treated unjustly in that moment. And I'm just now, because many Black people are like, look, even in corporate spaces now, they are stopping people in their tracks, bosses, peers, whoever, customers, clients. Hey, that was a microaggression. And let me tell you what that is and why that made me feel blah, blah, blah. And I really wish, hey, if you wouldn't do that again,
Yeah.
So, and it's beyond wanting to touch my hair or any of those really stupid, obvious things.
No, but Dawn, you sound so articulate.
Girl, that is the classic. So that's the classic of all classics. Has any white person ever referred to another white person as articulate? Do you even use that word? I mean,
no one's ever described me as that. And I think that I'm very good at speaking.
Me too. Me too. I'm very
I don't use vernacular. Occasionally I cuss.
But it's like the ultimate, it's like, oh, wait. And it's like, oh, why do you have to call that out? Even if I'm not articulate, maybe this is just how I talk. Can you understand me? Because again, this is what diversity is all about. It really is. But saying that I'm articulate means that, oh, is this?
Did you think I wasn't?
Yes. I mean, just even with the beautiful Amanda Gorman, who did
she's so
did the inauguration poem. Okay. And so for most Black women, guess how many Amandas I know?
A million.
A million. Maybe 10 million Amandas. Okay. She's dope. She killed it. She crushed it. She is everything that I know of myself.
She showed up looking fly. She was like everything. She carried herself amazingly.
But Black women show up like that when we show up like that all the time. And so for white people to see that, like, oh, what? It's the big, oh, by the way, is also a microaggression. If you grab your pearls in any way, oh, that's actually a microaggressive tone. Like, oh, we did. Oh, yes. No, you're the one that's not aware. This is your teachable learning and or unlearning moment. But there are millions of Amanda Gormans in this world. It's just that millions of Amanda Gormans don't get the opportunity to be great. But they are great. And they're working 10 times as hard to be noticed as being great, as opposed to being noticed because they're loud or they don't sound articulate or their hair is a certain way. So yes, there are millions.
I just had kind of an aha moment as you were talking about that. And you asked me, like, have I always been this way? Well, I also want to touch on the fact that as I was raised, I was put in spaces where I didn't always, like I was a minority, or I had very strong Black women in my life. And in all honesty, I processed a lot of this in 2020. The women that really showed up for me in my life when I needed it were Black women. Like my parents separated and my family friend, when my dad didn't have a place to go because he didn't have family, her family took us in and we celebrated. every holiday. So yes, I have had greens and ham hocks, and yes, I've had all of the soul food and all of the things. And people don't necessarily, when they look at me, they're like, "What?" But they are the people that showed up for me. So for me, as a conscious place in I know that the people that are going to show up for me, if I look at my history in my life, are those people of color in my life that have always showed up for me. And part of that is the people that my parents chose to surround ourselves with, right? You make the choice for the people that you surround yourselves with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you put yourself in rooms and realize that you won't be threatened, that rather it's a community. I think that that's probably like where a lot of my lifespan came from is that. And so I give a lot of credit to Black women in my life. Like I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have, I wouldn't say even the support, just the camaraderie and the love and affection and all of the wonderful things that you just talked about, right? Like every Black woman I ran into in my entire life has them.
Pretty much. I mean, really, it is the case if you just allow yourself to be open to receiving that, and when Black women, flow within their authentic selves, we are the most beautiful, amazing. We just are. We just are. I mean, I look at Stacey Abrams. Mm-hmm. I mean, she united an entire state to overturn, to turn from red to blue. Mm-hmm. The leadership that Black women have, we know how to step in the spaces because we're not invited. Okay. So we just have to show up and insert ourselves. And a lot of times, man, there's a lot of daggers in your back in that process. And that's when all the labels come in as being aggressive and showy and, all of those things. And people want to hey, Dawn, I need you to be smaller. And I'm like, I have no idea how to do that. Where do I have desire? And why on earth would you ever say that to anyone? Mm-hmm. That I'm taking up too much space. That sounds like a you problem and not a Dawn problem. Mm-hmm. But because you're in a position of power, it's my problem. It becomes my concern. It becomes my woe. It becomes my, oh my goodness. It will cause me to overthink and to wonder and to okay, maybe I'm not that valued, in spaces, and it's just not true. So being removed from those types of spaces and being an entrepreneur now and, calling my own shots and enjoying my lane of success and creating that for me, it's been life shifting, life changing, transformational. My energy is just endless.
Well, I think that leads us into maybe kind of that transformational conversation that we started on, which is your word of the year. Yeah. And I think this, I also want for my listeners who are white women, I just want you to understand that just because you haven't had the same exact experiences as Dawn doesn't mean that you can't learn and take the words and the feelings and the education and words that she is saying as a strong, beautiful, intelligent, amazing Black woman to you as a strong, beautiful, amazing white woman. We don't have to compare our stories in order to grow. So as she goes forward, I don't want you to say, don't go into that shame piece of things. You're not going to grow and learn from that.
Exactly. And I understand in this anti-racism, learning for white women, it is that shame. And even the more woke white people who are more progressive and understanding their privilege and their whiteness, you guys shaming each other. Mm-hmm. And that's you're really doing more harm than good,
I agree tenfold.
What's that?
I agree tenfold.
And so, that's what I see. And it's like, yeah, you can't shame people. You can't, we just have to figure out, ways to love, and love can be tough.
Mm-hmm. And honest and forthright.
Honest and forthright exactly.
And setting boundaries.
It has to be. It has to be. But the number one thing you said, Shan, is like, listen to Black women. Listen to us. Listen to our stories. Be present and show up. Black women have been showing up for 400 or 500 years. Okay, we are head of households. We're leading our families. We have dealt with numerous injustices and inequities in this world, and we still, as Maya Angelou said, we still rise, and still I rise. No matter what has been done to me in my journey, I still rise, and I still got enough to help you rise, sis, and you rise, and you rise, raise my children. We still have enough. So if the ask for 2021 white women is to reimagine yourselves, loving unconditionally, getting to know a dope ass Black woman, you will never regret it. It will be the best experience. You'll have the most fun. You will laugh. You'll be like, why haven't I done this before? When I meet certain women, they were like, oh my God, you're so much fun and great to be around. I'm like, yeah.
Been doing this for a while. Welcome to the party. The beer might be a little cold or a little warm, not cold.
Yeah. So yes, my power word for 2021 is to reimagine, and start that reimagining process with you. If something is broken or something hurts, it's your responsibility to yourself first to heal. And healing ain't pretty. And it's not actually supposed to be.
No.
Because many of us, have denied, repressed, pushed down because we are on our grind. We're constantly, trying to figure stuff out and take care of our families and do the damn thing, work hard, show all of these things. And so much of who we really are, like the real stuff, not like the dope lipstick and the hoop earrings hair we have, and just how fashionable we are, because that's a thing too. However, are you using these outside aesthetics to cover up something, to hide, scared of? Because really, once you go inward to get connected with that higher self, that dope light that you have, I mean, it really is like a party with myself, really. But I had to deal with my darkness. I had to deal with, my own stuff that, we all learn to sugarcoat it. We all learn to put a mask on, right? I definitely did my fair share of that as a Black woman in corporate America. I had to put on a mask. I had to code switch. I had to be someone else, to be successful, or to be accepted enough to do my job. And the amount of energy, I used to wonder, like, I would get home and I'm just like, is everybody this tired? It's like my whole being hurt. Your whole being hurts when you are not being true to yourself.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it just hurts. And once you go on that path of starting to unfold the flower and come into your own, I mean, there's so much peace and freedom, in that process. And in this coaching world, I'm a life coach, and I know there's a gazillion coaches that do this amazing, necessary work.
Yeah.
But we all are unique in our way of connecting with our clients, connecting with people to get them to feel safe to go in and do that work. And I call myself a guide to actually help you, guide you along this path of, transformation and inward growth.
Oh, I completely agree with that, because the times when I was so unauthentically myself, anxiety was the highest. I suffered from adult acne. I was trying to fit into a space that wasn't me. And the minute I actually, and I'm not recommending that people quit their jobs and become an entrepreneur, because we know that like 90% of people don't want to be an entrepreneur. And I know you don't necessarily agree with that either.
Correct. I don't.
And also, if you're going to do it, please have a plan.
Yeah, try to.
Please have a plan.
If you don't, we'll figure it out.
And if you don't, call us. We'll help you. I'll do the financial stuff. Yes. Don will work through like the limiting beliefs aspect of stuff, and we'll take you on. But I suffer. And in the moment I flipped the switch, my acne went away. My anxiety decreased. Like, we don't, as people, think sometimes that when we're trying so hard to fit into something else, why other things are happening in our life, why we're gaining weight, why we're, we're accumulating debt, why we're doing all of these different things. It actually really does go back to a lot of the inner work. So how do you help your clients in that space? Like, I mean, reimagine is a great word for this year. How do you weave that into your direction and guidance that you provide your clients?
So it all starts with you showing up and deciding that I'm tired and it's time. Mm-hmm. And really, I don't have a structured, like, okay, here's your homework. We're going to, no, because that's not fun. It needs to be fun. Okay. Because healing isn't. So I just do great exercises. I believe in all things holistic and wellness. Your yoga and meditation and mindfulness practices and learning about crystals and sage and just all of the
what do you say to the person that says, I can't sit still, Dawn? I don't know how to meditate because I move all the time.
Oh, and guess what? All of us who move can sit still. Everyone, here's the deal. We are all able to heal ourselves. The power of healing resides within us, and it is a choice. So when you are truly ready to heal, right, you'll do just about anything when you get tired of your own ish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so trying these different healing holistic modalities, I mean, meditation has been around for hundreds of centuries.
Right.
Jesus meditated, okay?
The beginning of time, and it is a cross-cultural way of healing.
Correct. And when we talk about things that, transcend race, gender, everything, this particular modality does. It really does. And it's something you do. It's for you. When people say, well, I meditate to try and get better at meditation. No, actually, you meditate to get better at life. Because it allows you just the opportunity. Nothing happens when you are constantly moving. Just think about when you misplace your keys, right? Where are my keys? Can't find it. And you're tearing stuff up. And then all I'll say is like, you know what? Just be still. And then ask yourself, okay, where are my keys? And you pick them up. And so I tell people just to try that exercise. Ask yourself the question and then sit and wait for the answer. Nothing comes in constant movement. Nothing comes with being busy all the time. Busy is so overrated. Being type A, so overrated. Multitasking, ridiculous.
Because you can't actually do it.
Because you can't, it's not a thing. And it's not a compliment to say, oh, I'm a great No, actually, you're taking an L by doing so many things. There are enough hours in a day to get everything we need to get done. And guess what? If you don't, the grace of God, when you wake up in the morning, because when you sleep and you rest, it's an opportunity for your body to hit the reset button. And then you can set your intentions before your feet hit the floor. Say, today is going to be a great day. I choose today to be great. I choose to be grounded, even when contrast happens, even when bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand good and bad will always be there. It's how you decide to react, even when things are good and even when things are bad. You have a choice. Are you going to be pulled out of alignment and constantly be in reaction mode to everything that happens to you in the outside world?
Mm-hmm.
That's exhausting. If you set your intentions, if you have a mindfulness practice, I get up in the morning, I keep water by my bed, lemon water, because we need water. If my wellness coach, business partner, Coach Shay was here, she'd be like, "Where's your water?"
Mm.
And
here you go, Shay. It's right here. Got mine.
Yes. And so just being able to wake up your organs with lemon water, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you mindfully putting in your body? What are you telling yourself before the day starts? As people, you get up and you stub your toe, and man, is that a downward spiral of doom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then your whole day can take a trajectory of bad. And so many people don't have the tools to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you just have to stop, breathe, that go into your body and just be still. There's so much joy and peace in that. And when I get my clients to start figuring those things out, so many answers start to come. Things that were stuck wherever start to come up. And as they come up, we can talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
We can put them in their proper bucket or perspective, or what do they mean? And I help you unpack that and guide you through a process of your own continued awakening. But it starts with you ready to do the work. And yes, they're tears, but they're cleansing tears, right? When you hit
Mm-hmm.
on something, because some people don't cry, and it's like, nope, what is that? Nope, don't stop, let it out.
Yep.
And then it's like, I have people that come to me and it's like, well, I haven't cried in over a year, and they're just sobbing.
Mm.
And I'm like, we just sit there and how much better do you feel? Why were you even holding? And didn't even realize that you were holding so much stuff in. And as women, we hold stuff in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we always have so many things that we're taking ownership of. As you were talking, I think about everything that you were saying and how it's impacted me as a mother, and in my professional life too. I know that I've constantly made that choice, right? And I've gotten asked previously in my life and continue to get asked by women, and they're like, "But how do you do it? But how?" And it's like, well, you had, to your point, like, you have to be ready. You have to make the choice. It's a conscious effort every day that I make a choice to be in that space, right? I had a proud mama moment because I was looking at my child's digital homework, because we live in a space of, I can see all their homework on their iPad, and they were, kudos to our school. First and foremost, they have an emotion of the week that they talk about. Mm-hmm. And this week it was processing different emotions, but one of the words was lonely. And my daughter's response to anger and other things were breathe or talk to my mom. And I got emotional as a mom because you feel like you're fucking turning off a lot. Like, you're never doing it right. And then I was like, oh, I'm doing something right. And I think sometimes we have to look at it in the perspective of how what we choose to do in our life has impacts to the other relationships that we have.
No doubt.
And so thank you for that. That just brought that up for me in that space.
And they're watching. Many are watching.
What would you say to that woman who's like, I want to, but I'm not, like, how do I get ready? I want to, but I'm like, we're like, they're straddling, right? But when am I going to find the time? How am I going to do this? They're thinking that it's like this huge time commitment.
You know, one of the things is like, stop asking about the how and the why,
Mm-hmm.
what, when, where, and why. Stop. That's the wrong question to ask. It really is. Because there's so much in this thing called life that actually we're not supposed to know.
You're supposed to trust.
Correct. Exactly. You're not supposed to know. You know, you're just supposed to be. What would that feel like if you just made a conscious effort just to sit and be and just really just, right, sit alone with your stuff and make time for you. This is your time. This is a gift to self. To do the work of healing is the best gift you can give yourself. The benefits of your community, your family, just like with your daughter, when you heal and do your work, it affects everything and everyone around you. When people say, oh, I wish, I really wish my husband would change, or I wish my boss would change, or you're wishing that other people would change to accommodate something in you, and then things will be different for you if someone else changes. And I'm like, that is such flawed thinking. You change, you decide to do something different, and everyone else will fall accordingly in place. One of my clients, her and her husband were in not a great place. Pandemic was very stressful. It either strengthened their relationship, right, or it did not. And she was very concerned that the more she started to do the work on herself, and her husband and her were already in a bad place, she thought that it would further widen the gap that they were having and the troubles they were experiencing in their marriage. And I said to her, like, just with full clarity, it's going to make it better. I promise you. And and she was like, you're just so confident, girl. Do you know what's going on over here in my house? And I'm like, no, I don't need to know. But as you start to heal and transform, he's going to have a front row seat of your dope transformation. And so when you work with someone and the husbands are like, want to pop in the Zoom, they're like, hey, Coach Dawn, I love my wife after she gets done with you. And so that's one of the biggest joys for me. It's like, no, because you are going to get better and feel better and be happier. Happy, is contagious. I'm like, you being happy. Was he going to have an attitude because you happy? And you running around there looking all cute and making food and singing and dancing around and eating well and making great dinners and, loving on the kids and reacting differently than you normally would. You're not so, when something happens, you'll go, oh, okay, well, hon, well, tell me more about that. What? Well, that's not something you would normally do, Mom. Well, mom's doing some really dope work on self. So I'm able to hear you differently, see you differently, because I understand myself more. And so, yeah, it's like, trust me. It's like, as you get better, the world gets better. And if everyone in this stage of awakening in our country took the time to really self-examine, and you said a great word, trust that you have everything you need inside of you. God didn't make any mistakes when he made any of us. We were all perfectly formed in his image. Okay? It's just we have allowed life to take us away from our greatness. And so when you truly take the time to heal, the world heals. And so I'm hoping that one person at a time, one dope human connection at a time, one great conversation at a time will allow people to be encouraged to heal, because that's just what I do. I'm encouraging you to heal. And whether it's me helping you or you just deciding to, reading a dope book, or self-care is not just, manicures and pedicures. Like, yeah, that's an aesthetic again. That's outside stuff. anything that's outside of you, okay, is just a small part of feeling good. And that stuff that's outside of you is temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the inner work, that's the long game, baby. That's the long game. That's the lifelong healing. You just have to decide, set your intentions. I'm going to do this every day because I really choose to be happy. I really am choosing to be better. But even in the process, when you fail or you fall off, or today is just not my day, I'm just not feeling good, just understand that this state is only temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being so hard on yourself because this too shall pass.
Oh, I feel like you maybe just took us to church a little bit in that last section that you were talking about.
I am really more spiritual than I am anything else. But again, I was raised and I am a believer. And there are many things that make sense.
Well, and I say church as like because I am also that space that I've never believed a building can provide as much power as the people in it.
It really, and that's what we, it's not about the institutions. It's really about the people who make up the institutions.
Which is exactly what you just finished with before, that we all have the power within us to create the change. And we can't put the reliance on the systems to create the change. We have to be the change to change the systems. Dawn, thank you so much for your wisdom and honesty. Because I think, just like you said before, like love is breathing life into others and showing them their light. And it is also that light can shine and show and reveal things that we need to heal from. And that.
No doubt. So yes, I highly recommend it. Go on your healing journey. Be excited about knowing who you really are. Be truthful to yourself. Be accountable to self, and trust thyself. It's a beautiful, beautiful, peaceful space to be. And as I am great, you are great, sis.
So if people want to hang out with you, first and foremost, like, if you're listening to this, you should want to hang out with Dawn.
Yes.
Like,
we have a really good time in those in-between moments of the healing journey. We figure it out. We really do, because there's so much, love. Love is the highest frequency. Everything grows and thrives when you're truly in that authentic place of love. Truly. And so who don't want to be there?
Right. Absolutely.
You looking for love? Guess what? Love's got to start with you. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, you can find me. I am on all the social media platforms, but connect with me on LinkedIn. I am Dawn L. Johnson. Connect with me on Instagram. I am the Dawn Johnson Experience. And my experience and my journey is your experience and your journey. Because at the end of the day, we all are spirit beings, and there's so much connectedness in all of our experiences. So yeah, come find me on the Dawn Johnson Experience. I got you.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Please go follow her. This isn't a bet, you will learn and grow in yourself. So thank you so much, Dawn, for today. I'm grateful that Shay introduced us. We joked about Shay earlier, but Shay is a connector. So Shay, thank you. Special shout out to you. But Dawn, thank you so much.